Growing up, there was a local legend in our small town about a girl in a white dress. They said she wandered the woods at night, her ghostly figure appearing to those who dared to venture too deep. Most people dismissed it as a story to scare kids, but I was about to find out how real it could be. It started when my friend Emily dared me to explore the woods with her one weekend. The plan was simple: we'd hike to the old abandoned house at the center of the forest and prove to everyone that the legend was just a myth. With a mix of excitement and apprehension, we packed our bags and set out early Saturday morning. The first part of the hike was uneventful. The sun filtered through the dense canopy, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. Emily and I chatted and laughed, enjoying the adventure. But as we ventured deeper, the atmosphere changed. The air grew colder, and an unsettling silence enveloped us. "Do you feel that?" Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, my eyes scanning the surroundings. The trees seemed to close in on us, their gnarled branches like skeletal fingers reaching out. We pressed on, determined to reach the house before dark. After what felt like hours, we finally saw it, the old, decrepit house standing alone in a small clearing. Its windows were shattered, the door hanging off its hinges. The stories about the girl in the white dress always mentioned this place, saying it was where she had died many years ago. "We should look inside," Emily suggested, though she didn't sound entirely convinced. "Yeah, let's do it," I replied, trying to sound braver than I felt. We pushed open the creaky door and stepped inside. Dust motes danced in the shafts of sunlight that pierced the gloom. The air was thick with the scent of mildew and decay. As we explored the rooms, an eerie feeling settled over us. It felt as though we were not alone. In the living room, we found an old, tattered photograph of a family. A young girl in a white dress stood at the center, her eyes hauntingly familiar. My heart skipped a beat. "Do you think?" Emily started, but she was cut off by a sudden, loud bang from upstairs. We both jumped, staring at each other with wide eyes. Slowly, we made our way up the rickety staircase. Each step groaned under our weight, echoing through the empty house. At the top, we found a long hallway with several doors, all slightly ajar. "Hello?" Emily called out, her voice trembling. There was no response, only the oppressive silence. We moved cautiously down the hall, peering into each room. They were all empty, filled only with broken furniture and peeling wallpaper. Just as we were about to check the last room, a chill ran down my spine. I turned around and saw her. A girl in a white dress stood at the end of the hall, her eyes hollow and her face expressionless. She seemed to float rather than walk, her movements slow and deliberate. I felt a scream rise in my throat, but no sound came out. Emily saw her too and grabbed my arm, pulling me into the last room. We slammed the door shut and leaned against it, breathing heavily. "What was that?" I whispered, my voice shaking. "I don't know, but we need to get out of here," Emily replied, her eyes wide with fear. Just then, the doorknob rattled. We backed away, watching in horror as the door slowly opened. The girl in the white dress stood there, her dark eyes locked onto mine. She raised a hand, pointing at me, and I felt an icy grip on my heart. "Leave this place," she whispered, her voice echoing in my mind. We didn't need to be told twice. We bolted past her, racing down the stairs and out of the house. The forest seemed darker now, the shadows deeper and more menacing. We ran, branches whipping at our faces, until we finally burst out of the woods and into the safety of the open field. We collapsed on the grass, gasping for breath. Neither of us spoke for a long time, the weight of what we had seen pressing down on us. "Do you think anyone will believe us?" Emily asked finally, her voice small. I shook my head. "Probably not. But we know what we saw." We never spoke of that day again, but the memory lingered, a dark shadow in the back of our minds. Every time I passed the edge of the woods, I felt her eyes on me, a reminder of the girl in the white dress and the warning she had given us. Years later, I moved away from that town, but the legend followed me. Sometimes, in the quiet of the night, I still hear her whisper, "Leave this place." And I know, wherever I go, a part of her will always be with me, a chilling reminder of the day we ventured too deep into the woods and came face to face with the unknown.